A bit north of Esbjerg, these sculptures stand looking out over the sea. They were built in 1995 by Sven V. Hansen and show with all their white clarity man's fascination, astonishment and respect for the sea, which here, if any sea, is very capricious. The marshland in South Jutland has a rich bird life, with important breeding grounds for migratory birds. It has been a hard fight to live here, where the land lies beneath the level of the sea. Everywhere, large dikes have been built to prevent the water from coming in. At Higher Mill stands a flood pillar, which among other things shows that as late as in 1976 the sea was 4.92 meters above normal water level. In the midst of this flat country lies Ribe, Denmark's oldest city from around the 900s. The first thing that catches your eye is the cathedral, whose beautiful stained glass paintings were made by Carl Henning Pedersen. The city itself is also an experience, with old houses and streets where the night watchman tells you what time it is.
Befäl dig Herren fri, vær klog og snill, vort lys har vild, for klart slagen 10. Hold efter, klokken slagen 10. Om du ved tiden vil, hus, barn og piger og dreng, det på de tid.
In Møgeltønder, there is a quite special village street that has an atmosphere in a class by itself. Near the town lies Schackenborg, where Prince Joachim and Princess Alexandra live with their son, Prince Nikolai. South Jutland, as the only place in Denmark with a direct border to Europe, has had a checkered career. During the War of 1864, Denmark lost a large part of South Jutland to Germany. 56 years later, however, following the First World War, it was decided by a plebiscite that the province should belong to Denmark again. This reunion was celebrated with a big national festival at Dybbøl Mill. Up from Dybbøl, you can look over to Sønderborg, which is situated on the island of Als. Within Sønderborg Castle, which lies facing the water, King Christian II sat as a prisoner for 17 long years in the middle of the 1500s. Today, the castle forms the framework for South Jutland's Province Museum. In Kolding, we find another mighty royal castle, Koldinghus, which during its more than 700-year existence has played an essential part in the history of Denmark. After the disastrous fire in 1808, the castle ruins have attracted a lot of attention as a picturesque ruin, and throughout more than 100 years, the ruin has been the object of restorations and gradual adaptation to becoming a museum for the history of civilization and the domicile for cultural activities. After Christian IV's rebuilding of the castle around the year 1600, the Great Hall was the longest Great Hall in Europe. Also, the chapel beneath the Great Hall was restored by Christian IV, although today it's not looking at all the way it did back then. The Library Hall was in 1915–17 furnished by materials taken from the Royal Library's buildings in Copenhagen. The hall contains the museum's collection of porcelain and faience from the years 1600, 1700 to 1800. Within the castle's south wing, which was nearly gone when the restoration began, there are varying exhibitions of international format beneath the huge limewood columns, which in recent years have made Koldinghus famous far and wide. In Billund lies Legoland, the most visited tourist attraction outside of Copenhagen. Every day there are children all over the world who play with the ingenious blocks that Ole Kirk Christiansen put into production in 1945. Here you can experience what Lego's own people have created out of these brilliant blocks. Today, Jelling is a peaceful small town, but once it must have had a special power. In front of the church, there is a stone that has been called the whole of Denmark's birth certificate, the Jelling stone, erected by the Viking king Harald Blåtand as a gravestone for his father Gorm the Old and his mother Thyra. They lie buried within the two hills on either side of the stone. Harald Blåtand ruled Denmark and Norway and Christianized the Danes at the end of the 900s.